Then the remaining 3 players, Quarter, Perma, and Spevy, would compete in a game of Scribble individually. The person to get the most points from a match would get an immunity and got to decide which of the 2 players they want to eliminate, and which to take to top 2 with them. Quarter won the match and decided to vote out Spevy. Quarter said, "Ahoom. When I started this season, I started it with one goal in mind. It wasn't to make it to the top 2, not exactly. I've gotten there plenty of times before, and in the years to come I will get there plenty of times as well. However, this season I have accomplished something that very few have had a chance to accomplish. With the exception of one group for one day, I did not lie a single time. My allies stayed my allies until the end, and my honesty and trust inspired the same in them. Through that bond, we were able to overcome scary vote after scary vote, most of which were attempts at me instead of my allies. At any point they could have turned on me. At all points, they didn't. Before today, I believed that Season 8 was my magnum opus, the season with which I manipulated everyone, friend and foe alike, and was never in any real danger. In many ways, it was, but this season has been a far harder challenge to overcome. All this to say that I intend to finish my season of truth with one final one, a truth that I spoke 10 days ago. To end my season of honesty, before I get absolutely eviscerated by the dead voters, I am following up on my promise and bringing Perma to the top 2 by voting Spevy to be eliminated. Perma and Quarter find Spevy's bod with a shiv in his neck bled out with a message in his blood on the walls that reads Carnis over Chalibe, which means flesh over steel. Quarter said, "Spevy was wrong. Flesh isn't over steel. Steel's harder and more durable. Hits harder. Takes harder hits. Circuits can calculate equations faster than any man could dream. But steel isn't over flesh. Steel can't think. Can't make friends. Can't evolve, can't improvise. It's why we've won so far. Fusion. Singularity. Something that combines the best and ignores the worst of both ends." Then Quarter looks over to Beef and said, "So what is better, a robotic mind with a human limb, or a human mind with a robotic arm?" Then later during the night, in the upper city level, the group exited the staircase room in the center of the block. This block is one of many, wherein each is the entrance to the central structure leading down to 3 sectors. Perma explored the rooms in the block. The statistics room was first and it housed different data on the residents. Their behavior, changes in attitude, and loyalty towards their god. Then the studio room was a room where AI films conventionally bunch of broadcasts that imitates human-made content, filled with propaganda. Most programs shown to the residents are fully AI-generated though, including the propaganda movies shown in the theater. Next was the observation room and it had systems that were used to monitor the residents and every room of the 3 sectors. The system had a malfunction sometime before the revolution happened in the sector, and it wasn't fixed in time before the sectors were abandoned. Then final room was the control room, that had systems that would scare the people who are punished in the basement. The system would produce scary sounds and voices that the residents would hear there. It also created scary virtual hallucinations that the residents would see in the basement, being an illusion of God's wrath. Then suddenly, a robot walked into Block 69 from another block and spotted the crowd inside, reporting it and ringing an alarm, as they were intruders. Masses of robots roamed in, wave after wave from different blocks of the building, from all 4 doors. The rebels were basically useless in the fight, getting overpowered immediately. Perma led the rebels and the worshippers to the studio room, to hide from the chaos. Beef and Quarter kept fighting against the robots alone, and due to Quarter's robot arm being so powerful, he was able to electrocute and shut down robots in groups with one strike. Beef had his arm weapon, but had also a D cannon attached to his crotch, which helped him a lot in the fight. Then the robots were stopped to be sent in the block and the 4 doors leading in were sealed, so Beef joined Perma as he had been setting up the studio for a broadcast to be recorded. As the broadcast began, seen by every resident in the city, Perma said, "Welcome, I'm sorry to interrupt your regular shows but it's time we all thought, your way of life, the regime you live under and the God you believe in, are they not something to be questioned? As humans we are created to exist, to adapt, to be inquisitive and to live. This life the machines have forced onto us is barely a human one. The one true God is nothing that you were taught of. You've been fed zealous lies forged by the machines that see us as little as an experiment. Sooner end our lives than anguish over them. Life is sacred and must be lived as we determine, not as the pious machines that have you in their mind forged mingles. This God, question its existence and learn how to understand the value of you yourselves as people. Even now I am accompanied by a machine that is teaching us the truth of the one true God, an avatar of it if one may say, and even one of its first blessed, in reference to quarter. This is Beef the child, the Heisenballen AI, an enemy of the shrimp, an AI that preaches care for human life and the value that you have not as just a worshipper but as a person. Here behind me you may even see the violence and hatred shown by their false interpretation of our God. So allow us to rise up, humanity. We're the old rulers of our world. Do we not deserve our freedom? Do we not deserve the lives our God has afforded us? Together we may reclaim it. Together we are humanity. So many have died for this chance at our reclamation, so please, at least think of what you are deserved. Beef introduced himself shortly and verified the info Perma told, but the connection was cut. Eventually, the AI realized that Quarter and his arm are too powerful, so the AI shut down the doors to Block 69 and an announcement came from the speakers saying, Block 69 has been deemed as not worth pursuing or salvaging. Foreign elements have infiltrated the block. A rogue robot and a human with a prototype arm that is too powerful. Block 69 is ordered to be detached and everyone inside to be sentenced to death. The block starts to move down slowly. The metal walls between Block 69 and the walls around it create a disgusting sound as they interact in movement. The block slides down further, eventually coming off the structure like a Lego block, designed to stay in the structure, but to be abandoned if needed. There is a similar block over every central tower and sectors. The block seems to free fall and starts to tilt. The block falls down deeper into the sea along with the tower and 3 sectors attached to it. It makes an impact with the sea floor, landing upright, supported by the structures below. Perma said, "Shit, so we're trapped at the bottom of the ocean?" Well, I guess we were trapped in the ocean before, so not an amazing amount has changed.